In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this stunning Easter cake. Let's start by making the carrot cake. In a large mixing bowl, sift 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of allspice, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Once sifted, give the dry ingredients a quick whisk to mix them, and then set the bowl aside for now. To a separate large mixing bowl, add 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of tightly packed brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 4 large room temperature eggs. Mix on a medium-high speed until the ingredients lighten in color, which will take approximately 3 to 4 minutes. Next, add 1.5 cups of mayonnaise and mix on a medium speed until well combined, approximately 1 to 2 minutes. Add 1/3 to 1/2 of the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients and mix until just combined. Do not overmix. Repeat until all the dry ingredients and wet ingredients are just combined. Next, add 3 cups of finely grated carrots and 1 cup of chopped walnuts and mix this until just combined. For this cake, we're evenly dividing the batter between 3 6-inch round cake pans. Bake for approximately 25 to 35 minutes or until a cake tester comes out clean. Remove the pans from the oven, let the cake slightly cool in the pans, and then remove them and let them completely cool. Once the cakes are completely cool, use a serrated knife or a cake leveler to cut the tops of the cakes. Save the scraps for some easy and delicious cake pops or cakesicles. For the filling, I made a yummy butterscotch mousse. To make this, add 3/4 cup of butterscotch chips, 3/4 cup of white chocolate chips, and half a cup of heavy whipping cream to a medium microwave safe bowl. Heat in the microwave for 1 minute and then mix it together. If there are still white chocolate pieces, heat for an additional 20 to 30 seconds until everything is completely melted. Mix in a pinch of salt and then cover it with plastic wrap and place it in the fridge to completely chill. Next, we're adding half a cup of granulated sugar and 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream to a large mixing bowl. We're whipping this until we achieve stiff peaks like you see here. Now with the butterscotch ganache in a large mixing bowl, add half of the whipped cream and fold it into the butterscotch ganache. Once that's fully mixed together, add the rest of the whipped cream and fold it into the mixture. After whipping up a double batch of Swiss meringue buttercream, it's time to assemble the cake. Add a dollop of buttercream to act as the glue to keep the cake on the cake board. Then, add one of the cake layers. Using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 1A tip, pipe a ring of buttercream along the inner perimeter of the cake layer. Add some of the butterscotch mousse filling and then use an offset spatula to smooth it out. Repeat with the rest of the cake layers. Once you place your top cake layer on the cake, add some buttercream and use an offset spatula to spread it into an even layer on the outside of the cake. This is called the crumb coat layer of buttercream because it helps trap the cake crumbs so that your final layer will look pretty. Once that's complete, place it in the fridge to chill. I then colored some of the buttercream a variety of colors including pink, purple, blue, green, yellow, and gray. I used all of the bright colors to make some flowers. First, I used a Wilton 103 petal tip to pipe some pink roses. To make these roses, use a flower nail with a parchment paper square on top. Place a small mound of buttercream and then pipe 3 petals over the top of the mound. When piping roses, you want to keep the open round end of the tip pointing down toward the flower nail, while the tapered end points away from the flower nail. Once we pipe the 3 petals, we're going to now hold the piping tip perpendicular to the flower nail and pipe another 5 petals. Then we're going to hold the piping bag so that the tapered end of the tip is now slightly aimed toward us. After piping another 7 to 8 petals, our rose is complete. I also made some larger purple roses using a Wilton 104 petal tip. I then made 6 petal flower using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton tip 103. To make these duo-colored flowers, I added white buttercream to one side of the piping bag and dark purple buttercream to the other side. I made sure to have the tapered end of the petal tip where the purple buttercream was so that the center would have white and the outer edges would be purple. To pipe these flowers, make sure that the large round end of the tip is in the center of the flower nail. Then pipe a short curve of buttercream and quickly bring the piping tip toward the center of the flower to form one petal. Repeat until you have a full flower. Then, using a piping tip fitted with a Wilton tip 3 and filled with yellow buttercream, pipe dots in the center to complete the flower. You can also make the stamen taller by pulling up as you pipe. I also made some light blue 6-petal flowers using a Wilton Tip 101 and the techniques that I just described. After piping each flower, carefully remove it from the flower nail, place it on a baking tray, and after piping a bunch of flowers, place the sheet tray in the freezer. Now, let's pipe the basket. I decided to try something new, so I split the cake in half using 2 different piping tips to make each half of the cake its own basket. For one half of the cake, I used a Wilton Tip 47, and a Wilton Tip 21 was used for the other half of the cake. On a side note, when using a 47 tip, make sure that the flat, smooth end of the tip is facing the cake and the side with the teeth is facing away from the cake. To pipe a basket weave, pipe 1 vertical line down the side of the cake. Then, pipe short horizontal lines over the top of the vertical line, making sure to leave spaces between each one. Next, pipe another vertical line, making sure to leave space between this one and the last one. Now, we're going to pipe more horizontal lines, but we're going to start them in between the horizontal lines that we already piped. We're continuing this pattern until half the cake is covered. Now for the second half, we're going to do the exact same piping technique, but this time we're using a Wilton Tip 21, which is a star tip. Once all of our basket weaving is complete, we're piping the border of the basket. On the side with the flat basket weave, we're piping a shell border. To do this technique, apply some pressure to the piping bag as you barely move to the left, and then release pressure as you pull to the right side. Continue this pattern around half of the cake and then do the same to create the bottom border on the same side of the cake. For the other side of the cake, we're creating a rope border on the top of the cake. To do this, hold the piping bag at about a 45-degree angle from the cake. Apply continuous pressure to the bag as you move the tip of the piping bag in a little circular motion. For now, we're not going to do the bottom border on this side of the cake. Using the gray buttercream, I decided to pipe a little border along the front, top, and back of the cake as well. Then we're adding a small amount of purple buttercream to the side with the flat basket weave. Before we finish this Easter cake, make sure to hit that like button and click subscribe. Now, on top of the dividing line of the 2 basket techniques, we're piping little swirls and dollops of purple buttercream using a Wilton 363 tip, pink buttercream using a Wilton 21 tip, and white buttercream using a Wilton 18 tip. To the right side of the border with the larger basket weave, we're adding some chocolate eggs and mini jelly beans. Next, we're adding some of our pipe buttercream flowers on top of the purple buttercream mound. I like to arrange the flowers to have a mixture of colors and types of flowers spread along the top of the cake. Once all of the flowers are placed, use the purple, pink, and white buttercreams to add little dollops and swirls to fill spaces between the flowers. After adding more chocolate eggs and jelly beans to the middle border, add some buttercream to make a mound on top of the cake. Add a couple of peeps to the buttercream. I decided to use a yellow bunny and a pink chickie. Then fill the rest of the top of the cake with chocolate eggs and mini jelly beans. To finish off this side of the top of the cake, we're adding a mixture of rainbow nonpareil sprinkles in the empty spaces between the candies. To finish the flower power side of the cake, we're using a Wilton 352 leaf tip to add little leaves to the flowers. Place the tip right below the flowers, apply a little bit of pressure, and release pressure as you pull away to create the tip of the leaf. We don't want to forget to finish the front of the cake, so to the left side of the border with the flat basket weave, we're adding some of the buttercream flowers and then adding some leaves. And finally, to finish this cake, we're using a Wilton 233 tip to pipe a grass border along the bottom of the right side of the cake. Apply some pressure and then release pressure as you pull up. Continue this around half of the cake, and then this duo Easter basket cake is complete. You can also find the carrot cake and filling recipes, as well as this cake on my website, adventuresandyum.net. The links are in the description below. If you're interested in checking out some of the products I used in this video, make sure to check out the video description below for their Amazon links. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for another fun food adventure.